You can come towards the front. Dear beloved teacher, dear beloved family, I can just sit here and look at you and feel such deep happiness. The other day when I saw my niece, and you know, through the pandemic, I hardly got to see her. And so when I saw her, I asked her, is this a dream or is this a reality? And she didn't say anything, and she walked up to me and she pinched me. And I said, surely this is a reality. So you don't need to pinch me. I know it's a reality, and it makes me very, very happy. So I'm already crying even though I haven't spoken yet. Let us sit up beautifully, my dear ones. Really enjoy this moment. We are still here. Our bodies are healthy. Our minds are stable enough to be here. We still have each other together as a spiritual family. This is a great happiness. Let us breathe with 3 sounds of the bell and let this wonderful reality sink in every cell of our body, every cell of our mind. Dear beloved teacher, dear beloved spiritual family, I know you're here and I'm very happy. Yesterday we had an orientation for the teenagers. You can see our precious teenagers are sitting towards the first 3 rows. Are there twins here? Are there twins here? No? Okay. And we also have some young adults who just turned 18. They were in the teens program and now they get promoted to the young adult program. I saw one young man this morning and he just turned 18 and he said, I wish I could go back to the teens program. I'm sure you have fun with the young adults program too. Okay. Last night we had an orientation with the teens and we played a game that was quite new to me and I thought it was brilliant. Many of us were wearing masks, even though we chose the oak grove so that it's in the open and we could feel free to wear the masks or not to wear the masks. And we stood in a circle and one person would start off by looking at somebody on the other side of the circle and we would make eye contact. And that person sees the eye contact and they say, God, I'm looking at you, right? And what would you say, God? Yes. Yes. She would say yes. And I would say, thank you. And the person who says thank you would walk to her place. And the one who said yes would look at somebody else and would make the eye contact. And the other person would say yes, and she would say thank you. So we just, switching places, making eye contacts around the circle, so that everybody has a chance to say yes, and everybody has a chance to say thank you, and rotate in the circle. We know that during this pandemic, which has gone on for a year and a half now, it seems like forever, and many of us have stayed put in our rooms, in our homes. We haven't made much eye contact, maybe even with our own family members, let alone the friends at school. Maybe we just see them on Zoom, or colleagues, friends, relatives. And so to be able to make eye contact and to say, yes, yes, I'm here, and I know you're here, and I'm very happy. Yes. And to be able to say thank you. Thank you for being there. Thank you for taking good care of yourself so that you are still here, that we can be together. Thank you for acknowledging my presence. It's so simple, a yes and a thank you, but it can mean so much. Today I would like to dedicate this talk to the teenagers who are in front of me, and also to the teenagers in each one of you. Although you have grown up to be adults, there's a teenager in you, very much alive. How can we practice to say yes to ourselves, to say thank you to ourselves, to our family members, to others who look like us, sound like us, and who don't look like us and don't sound like us? How can we say yes and thank you to life, to all that is. How can we be a refuge to ourselves, to those we love, and those who are of the humankind? Those who are weaker than us, smaller than us, the people, the plants, the animals. How can we be a refuge? How can we be safe to ourselves, to each other? How can we practice so that we do not self-harm or harm each other? The theme of this retreat is be a refuge. First and foremost, we learn to be a refuge to ourselves. This morning, we had sitting meditation. All the teenagers gathered in the oak grove, and we did sitting meditation. And I share with them, when we do sitting meditation, we are learning to be our own soulmate. In Vietnamese, the word soulmate is tri kỷ. Tri kỷ. Tri means to remember, to know, and to master. And kỷ means oneself. All of us, we think and we want a soulmate, and we seek our whole life for somebody who knows us, loves us, and accepts us, be a refuge for us through the thick and the thin. We think that soulmate is outside of us, but the wisdom of the language reveals to us that a soulmate is one who remembers, who knows, who masters himself, herself, themselves. This is a great revelation for all of us, especially when you are young. You're seeking, searching, always outwardly. And we grow into adults, and even elderly adults, and we're still seeking endlessly, restlessly, and we never really find what we look for, because what we look for has always been there inside of us. That's soulmate. And so last night I asked the teens, what do you wish to attain, to gain from this retreat? And the answers are very profound, and I'm sure this is true for the adults also. We seek grounding. 2 teenagers said that. I want some grounding. We seek peace. Many teens want peace. We want decompression, de-stress. We want rest. wow, the whole year and a half has passed by. And most of us feel quite restless. We feel quite tired. Why is that? Why is that? We don't go to school outside, we don't go to work outside. We're at home finally. Most of us have dreamed to just have a day off, a week off, right? A retreat. And a year and a half have passed by, and we feel more tired than even before. So we know that there's a deep need to be a refuge, to know how to be a refuge, to know how to be a soulmate. So that whether we are inside, indoor or outdoor, at home or at school or at work, wherever we are, we can be a refuge to ourselves. Maybe you have heard of this teaching, this concept about the window of tolerance. So this is the window of tolerance, symbolized by two lines. So within this, throughout the day, day after day, we go through this vicissitude, up and down, up and down. Sometimes we feel calm, at ease, but then we feel kind of down, kind of withdrawn, checked out. And then sometimes we feel excited, unnerved, like we are in a fighting mode or running away mode. Yeah? So certain events throughout the day can trigger our autonomic nervous system. Autonomic nervous system to kick in and to activate, energize us so that we are ready to deal with the situation up front. It's kind of flight or fight mode, okay, to deal with the situation. Or some events can trigger us to just kind of withdraw, freeze, to be quiet, so that we are not noticed, so that we can protect ourselves. A little bit of that throughout the day within the window of tolerance, that's normal for human beings. It helps us build resilience as well, so that we can deal with stressful situations, challenging situations, and we'll be able to respond appropriately. But when it's not within this window of tolerance anymore, when something happens chronically, like stress day in, day out, from school, young people, my niece is only 9 years old, and she studies online at least 5 hours a day. Between, her schoolwork, and then with the tutor and homework, she can spend easily 8 hours a day working on her computer. That's a lot of time online. And it can cause us to be stuck, but to be stuck on this mode. Let's say this of fight or flight. We're stuck on it. It's out of this acceptable range. We're constantly nervous, restless, dispersed, agitated, irritable. we cannot rest. The mind cannot calm down or shut down. Or with chronic stress, depending on our predisposition, our personality, our family dynamics, we can also get stuck on this down mode, what we call the freeze response, or withdraw. We just check it out, we feel numb. We're here physically, but the mind is elsewhere. The mind is not with the body. There can be dissociation as well, and we're stuck in that mode. So sometimes parents will look at our children, or we look at ourselves and say, what's wrong with me? Why am I like this? Why am I always nervous and frightened? Why am I always angry? Or why am I so scared and shy and withdrawn? What's wrong with me? We usually ask that. What's wrong with my children? Fix my children. What's wrong with me? But nowadays, the neuroscientists, the therapists, people who study about trauma, they start to ask, not what's wrong with me, what's wrong with you, what's wrong with us, but what happened to us. We want to find the root cause. We don't want to blame or scapegoat, but we want to find out what happened to us. Day after day, year after year, what's happening to us? And not just that, what is that event, situation, what is that trauma doing to us, causing us to be in this constant fluctuation, up and down, or we get stuck on this fight or flight response, or we get stuck in this freeze response. And interestingly enough, we can be stuck on both ends. So there's a story, a real story of a young boy who was so abused that by the age of 5, he was removed from his parents because his father was so abusive to him. And then he went to a foster home. And his foster father was so physically abusive to him. And one day when he became a teenager and his foster father was forcing him to do things, and he turned around and he fought. And he got pushed down the stairs and he went into a coma. And the doctor did this experiment. The boy was in a coma, but the doctor was able to obtain a piece of clothing from his biological father and his foster father. So the clothes were not yet washed, so the smell was still there. And so when the piece of cloth of the biological father was put near the nostril of this boy, and he was in a coma, his heart rate went down under 60, okay? 60 beats per minute. And then when, that piece of cloth was removed and the cloth of his foster father was put near his nostril, his heart rate went beyond 150 beats per minute. What does it say to us? This is somebody who's in a coma, and yet the autonomic nervous system is at work constantly. This boy experienced trauma throughout his life. So as a little boy, his response was to freeze, to dissociate, to shut down in order to protect himself So he didn't have to experience the pain, the discomfort. So that's the freeze response. But as he grew up with this foster father, he learned to fight back. Yeah? So that was his mode. So we can have it in our body depending on the situation, yeah? Depending on the stage of our life. We may have, or depending on the person, we may have the different responses. And that is so ingrained in us that even in a coma, just with the smell of a person, the body automatically has a different response. One is to withdraw, to shut down, and the other is to flight or to fight. This is important to be aware of. Hopefully, most of us don't have to go through the extreme of this young boy. But still, many of us, we experience the stress in a home when our parents are not in harmony with each other, when they fight, when they get a divorce. That is what is called an adverse childhood experience. When we are bullied in school, there's now the cyberbullying. When we are pressured, experience peer pressure online, all of that can become trauma, can become traumatic if it triggers these stress responses in us and we are stuck in it, then it becomes trauma. Okay? And it can be there in us for a long time. It can become habitual, and whatever habitual patterns we have, that can become our personality. The way, that's how I am. I avoid people. I avoid people. That's who I am. Or I fight. I confront all the time. Hey, that's I am. You like it, accept it, or not. But that's who I am. But if we look deeply, that's not who we are. It's just those are our responses in order to survive, to cope with the situation. But because of our unawareness, because we continue to feed in those patterns unconsciously, then it does become our personality and thus our destiny. Okay? So let us breathe with the sound of the bell. Yeah? See, befriend our in-breath, and we befriend our out-breath. And see at this moment, our respiratory rate, how many breaths do we breathe within a minute? How many heartbeats do we have within a minute? Okay? So we just get in touch with our respiratory rate and our heart rate. Is it slow, comfortable, or is it very fast and uncomfortable? We can look at these waves as the waves of our emotions as well, the waves of our thoughts and perceptions. One moment we're happy, another moment we're sad, we're angry, we're excited. So many waves going through us, our body and our mind throughout the day. But know that it is also possible to be steady, to be grounded, to be peaceful, to be calm. It is possible. And our main practice is mindfulness of breathing. And it will help us to attain this steadiness in us. When you look at the character, the Chinese character for breath, the uppercase means tự. Okay, it's tự means from or itself. The lower character is mind or heart. Okay? So the breath is the mind, is from the mind. It's from the heart. But the breath is also the mind itself, the heart itself. We can understand this when we are angry. How do we breathe? When we are sad, how do we breathe? When we feel calm, safe, secured, how do we breathe? And when we feel threatened, unsafe, unnerved, how do we breathe? Do you see? Do you see how the breath is from the mind? And the breath, the breathing is the mind itself. It reflects the mind. Our breathing pattern reflects the mind. And when we're sick, we breathe differently. When we're injured, we breathe differently. And when we are dying, there is a particular breathing pattern that we can tell the person is dying and that the person has only a few more breaths. So to befriend our breath, our breathing, is one way to learn to be our own soulmate, to remember our breathing. How many of us, this whole morning, how many of us have learned to remember our breathing? Raise your hands. Wonderful. That's already a success of the community, of the practice. Yeah? To remember our breathing. In our guided sitting meditation this morning, for the adults, for the teenagers, for the tweens, we learn to remember our breathing. We get to know our breath. Is it long or short? Comfortable or uncomfortable? Quiet or loud? Is it from the nostril level, the mouth level, throat level, chest level, or abdominal level? Because at each level, when we breathe in a shallow way, that reflects the state of mind. The mind is not at ease. The mind is somewhere here, or stuck on this spectrum right here. Yeah? Or the breath is like, you're sighing. You're sighing. There's sadness. There's dis-ease in us. So to get to know our breath is to get to know ourselves, to be our own soulmate, and to take care of our breathing. When the mind pays attention to the breath, in that moment,
the mind is not free to generate more thoughts and feelings that cause more discomfort and dis-ease in our body and mind. You see, it's like a dog running rampantly. But if you just put a leash and hold it gently, it can run around you, but it will not take off. It's the same way. When the mind pays attention to the breath, then everything is within our reach, within our own awareness, and we can calm the body. This is how we learn to be steady, to be in the middle. In breath, out breath. I'm here, I'm here. Befriending my breath, befriending my body. Smiling with my breathing, smiling with my body. Releasing, relaxing. Okay. Let us breathe with the sound of the bell and do just that. And let's pretend this is the sound of the telephone ring. Okay? At home you may not have a sound of the bell. I hope you install an app of the mindfulness bell on your computer, on your iPhone, in all of your electronic gadgets, so that you are reminded to come back and be your own soulmate. So, but the sound of the telephone is also a wonderful sound if you use it to bring you back to your soulmate within. Now, the body has its own wisdom. It always wants to reach equilibrium, a steady state in the body, a steady state in the mind. But when we are on this constant roller coaster, or we are stuck on this fight, flight mode, or we're stuck in this freeze mode, then the body also pushes us to do things to reach this equilibrium. So for example, if you always feel restless and dispersed, and you're always tense, then you may look for some sedatives, downers, to bring you down, right? You may use alcohol, maybe movies, food. It depends on, different ways we choose, but that food, that drinks, that drugs, that kind of entertainment can help us to calm down and feel a little more relaxed. Yeah? Now those of us who are stuck in this like depressive mood, frozen mood, dissociative mode, we also want to get out of it. And so what do? We seek stimulants, some drugs that we can get high. We can feel a little more alive. You're more in touch with what is. But these ways of seeking for equilibrium, we may experience that some sense of relaxation, stability, shortly. But then, of course, it leads to codependency, right? Dependency, addiction. It can lead to severe dysfunction. Many young people nowadays just stay in our rooms. And we, what they call now, we self-regulate. Okay? We self-regulate. We want to find ways to bring equilibrium, steadiness to our heart rate, respiratory rate. We feel a little more relaxed in our body, a little more calm in our mind. That's what it means to self-regulate. But we use those different means to calm ourselves. So teenagers, young adults, now we are completely dependent on the internet, the social media, movies, alcohol, drugs, whatever that is, in order to self-regulate. So we feel completely disconnected with our family members, with our work, with our schoolwork, because we just want to be in this, cozy zone when we feel safe and okay. But that doesn't cure the problem, because as soon as we get out of that cozy zone, right, we still have to face the homework that we need to do, the bills that we need to pay, the family members that we have problems with, the workplace, all the stress. And so as soon as we venture out, wow, it's so overwhelming. So we get right back into our room, into our computer. And so it becomes a vicious cycle. And we have no resilience anymore. We cannot cope with stress. We become very irritable and nervous and fearful. So young people, we need to be aware of this and ask ourselves, what am I doing to calm myself? What are those modalities, those ways? Are they healthy? Are they really helping me long term and not just for a few moments? And what are those choices that I make? What are they doing to me day after day? Am I feeling more connected to myself or more distant? Am I feeling more connected to my family and friends, or I feel more withdrawn from them? The monks and the nuns, we don't have our own cell phones, iPhones. So the transportation sister has a phone that I use sometimes, so I can make phone calls or text messages to the doctors or to some lay friends. So every time I turn it on, it said, your screen time is up 15%, or it's down 20%, or your screen time is average how many hours a week or a day, something like that. And I'm like, that's nice to know. Hopefully that serves as a bell of mindfulness to you. And hopefully you have that screen time alarm on all of your electronic gadgets, and that you actually pay attention to that. How much is my screen time versus my family time, my exercise time, my outdoor time, my simply being time, not doing anything, not going anywhere, physically or mentally, just chill out, just simply be. What is that? And if you add up all of those offline time, and you compare to your screen time, and if your screen time still exceeds all of that family time and exercise time and being time and nature time, wow, you're on the way to ill health, to mental illness and physical illness. So that's a simple way of gauging your health, physical health and mental health, by looking at your screen time versus the offline time. Okay? Let us breathe together. Okay, this is an offline time. Just simply breathing, simply smiling, simply breathing, self-regulating our body and mind so that there's calmness, peace, connection, relaxation, decompression. Be a soulmate to our breath, to know, to remember, to take care of it. Be a soulmate to our body, to be there, to be aware, and to care for our body. My sharing today focuses on mindful breathing, and my brothers and sisters who give the next Dharma talks will talk about other ways, other practices. But just know that all of the practices that we impart to you, they all have the capacity to help you to self-regulate in the most healthy way. Okay? To bring peace and calmness, steadiness and stability in your body and mind. All of our practices. I want to go through another teaching, how to generate peace and happiness, so that we can be a refuge to ourselves and others. Okay. You remember the word tri kỷ already? Yeah? I told the teenagers, if they can take away one thing from me, from my sharing, during this whole retreat, if they can take away one thing, please take away the mindful breathing. The breath has always been there for us since the moment we were born until the moment we die, telling us everything about ourselves, but we've been very oblivious and neglectful towards those messages, towards our breathing. So if we learn to come back to our breath, we will learn a lot about ourselves. And the Buddha taught there are different ways to generate peace and happiness. The first one is Ly Sinh Hỷ Lạc. Ly means to put a distance, like cách ly, to quarantine, okay? Put a distance. To separate, yeah? Or to let go, to release. All the teenagers, and I'm sure all the adults, you want peace of mind, peace in your body, peace in your family. This is one deep practice. Put a distance to your electronic gadgets. Seriously. Get out of your room, be in the dining hall, be in the living room, be there with your family. Get out of the house, put a distance. Yeah, separate yourself from the things that you are so attached to. Identify the things that you're so attached to. I'm serious, if we keep going like this, some more generations, a baby is born, it will have like a pocket, a pouch right here, so you can put the earphone in. Evolution can take place very fast. Yeah? Back then, if you see a person walking and talking, you're like, is that person crazy? Now everybody is walking and talking. And somehow, now it's totally normal. And we assume the person is talking to somebody else, right? But are you sure? So what was so abnormal back then, now is so normal. And if you don't have those things, electronic gadgets, actually you are abnormal. You're not cool. Right? So please practice Ly Sin Hỷ Lạc. Put a distance to your electronic gadgets so that your screen time is down, let's say by 20%, by 30%, by as many percentage as possible, okay? That's love. And when we follow our breath, in-breath, out-breath, if you do that for just one in-breath and one out-breath, you're actually practicing Ly Sin Hỷ Lạc. Releasing generates, peace and happiness. Because in those moments, you're putting aside the electronic gadgets. You're putting down the constant restless thoughts and feelings. You are just with your breathing, with your in-breath and your out-breath. You experience calmness and equilibrium very quickly. Or you walk outdoor and you breathe in the sunshine, the warmth, the fresh air, the bird songs. You breathe, you inhale all that in, all that awareness that can bring you peace and calmness already. It's really strange, but the more stressed we are, which brings the word restlessness, right? Restlessness means you don't rest. You don't rest. You have no rest. So you're restless. And the more restless you are, the more difficult you are to rest. So then you become more restless. And so what do? We get on the computer, on our iPhone, we text message, we do things. So then we become even more restless, more dispersed. So in that way, it's not very intelligent, it's not very effective. We just feed that cycle of restlessness in us. And we feel useless, we feel, uncomfortable when we don't have those things next to us or right in the palms of our hand. So that's dependency, that's addiction right there. Smiling to it, breathing with it, putting it down, going to the next room, going outside. Okay? The second way that the Buddha taught that can bring us joy, happiness, and peace is mindfulness. Niệm Sin Hỷ Lạc. Mindfulness can generate peace and joy and happiness and calmness right in us. Mindfulness means to be aware of what's going on inside of us and what's going on around us. And you look at the character for mindfulness. The uppercase right here is Kim. It means now. And this one, remember what it means? Yeah? The heart or the mind, right? So mindfulness is the now mind. The mind that is in the here and the now. Literally, that's what it means. Mindfulness is the now mind. And the now mind is aware of the breath, the breathing pattern. Is it quickened? Is it slow? Is it comfortable? Is it long or short? It tells the state of mind. Am I anxious? Am I fearful? Am I at ease? You see? It brings awareness to the state of our body and the state of our mind. And mindfulness helps us to be aware of our surrounding, whether in this surrounding is nurturing, is supportive, or is it not so nurturing and supportive. Mindfulness helps us to know what we need to know, what we need to do, and what we need not to do. You see? And that gives us a sense of confidence in ourselves. Teenagers, as we grow up, our limbs are growing so fast. There are these hormonal changes in us. There are these thoughts, feelings racing. We feel so out of control. And with the isolation, the quarantine, the mask wearing, the stress in the adults in society, all of these things feel so out of control for us. And we just want some peace and calmness, but we don't know how. So we resort to unhealthy ways, right? But these are the ways that the Buddha saw clearly 2,600 years ago. And now medical doctors, therapists, social workers, yoga teachers, they teach us the exact same thing the Buddha taught us. That putting things down, putting a distance to the things that cause us suffering can bring peace and happiness. Have the courage to put it down. Becoming aware of it. Don't run away from it. This pandemic brought out a lot of things in us. They were always there, but the pandemic emphasized it. For example, fear. I know that many of us experience extreme fear. Fear of sickness, fear of death, fear of contagion. You don't want people to give you the bugs, right? And so you're very afraid. But fear can cause you to get stuck on this fight or flight mode. Or fear can get you to get stuck on this freeze, withdrawn, dissociative mode. See? So ask ourselves during this pandemic, what has fear done to us? What have we allowed fear to do to our body and mind? Is it possible to still be aware of what's going on, of the pandemic, but still we maintain a steadiness of mind and body, that we can continue to live our life as fully and as peacefully and meaningfully as possible? Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. That's why, as practitioners, we learn to come back to our breath, to our body, to our steps, to what's going on, to be in the now mind, so that we keep everything under control, everything in balance. Some people share they got so scared. Even they live in their family, but they don't associate with anybody anymore. They just shut everything out. They don't keep their normal routines anymore. Just eat and sleep and be on, the computer. That's the only thing. So that's a way to feel safe, but meanwhile we're not really living our life. And it can become a habit. Some of us sleep. I gave a consultation to a young woman, and she's been depressed for months now. And she said to me, Sister D, I broke up with my boyfriend towards the beginning of the pandemic. I was so depressed. I shaved my head, and I slept. That the pandemic seems to me it's only been 3 or 4 months, because I slept most of it. And sometimes when I wake up and look at myself in the mirror, my hair has grown long. Wow. Has that happened to any of you? Yeah? Yeah, I see some hands. So, sleep is a way to escape fear or sadness or strong feelings. Food is another way to escape fear. We eat more, we relish it, we find comfort in it more. No, that's what we're trying to do, to cope with it. But is it healthy? Is it sustaining, or is it damaging to our body and mind, to our family and society? See? Ask yourself questions like that. Sometimes when we're afraid, we don't want to ask questions. But fear is the worst in itself. If we just gently ask those questions, honest questions with ourselves and with each other, we will see that it's not so scary, that there's a way out. The third way to cultivate moment to moment, day after day, peace and stability and joy is concentration. This is an antidote to the restless mind. To the restless mind, the mind that doesn't rest, that cannot rest, that is not allowed to rest. The disposed mind, concentrated mind, is a mind that can rest in the here and the now, can rest in one thing, on one thing at a time, and not trying to multitask. Multitasking is a myth anyway. The mind cannot multitask. It just goes from one object to the other, back to that, and go there, and go there, and go there. So you never really take good care of anything. But if you just do one thing at a time, put it down, you do another thing, do it wholeheartedly, being truly present, and then you do. Then you will not have to go back and redo it. You will not have to regret what you had said, what you had done, because you were doing it unmindfully or saying it unkindly. You see? So concentration brings peace and happiness. And mindful breathing helps us that. When you are aware of your in-breath and out-breath as it is, that's mindfulness. And as you follow your breath a few more times, your mind is focused on the breath, and it can shed off the feelings and the thoughts that are constantly churning. Put them down, and you can focus on the breath, and you can focus on the body. So that's concentration. The mind is resting in one object. Concentration brings us steadiness. Okay? Brings us stability. Young people, you never talk about, oh, I'm stable. I feel solid. But those are very important qualities of a human being. When you can sit quietly with yourself, your breath and your body, you are cultivating stability and solidity. So that when somebody says unkind things to you, you are not breaking apart. You just breathe and smile, and you know that person is doing it out of hurt, out of fear, out of frustration. You see, during this pandemic, we see a lot of scapegoating, a lot of attacks, right? On people of color, on black people, on Asian people. That's because people are stuck on their extreme fear, fight, flight, or freeze. And they find scapegoat in order to feel safe, to feel justified. See? So when we learn to be safe in our own body, others cannot hurt us as much. And we also become safer to others when we are calm and steady. So to me, healing is not a luxury. Taking care of ourselves is not optional anymore. It's not something you say, oh, one day I'll do it when I'm old. I'll go to the monastery and practice. You see, nowadays, many young people, they want to come back on their own. You know, the teenagers who are here without their parents. You are very wise and you are very blessed. And I'm so happy. When you are safe, when you can generate the feeling of safety and security and stability in yourself, you become safe to others, in your family, in your society. You can protect yourself and you can protect others. Let us enjoy a sound of the bell. You know, during the pandemic, I make some time to learn about different topics. So those of you who like to watch YouTubes, watch movies, then try first of all to put a distance, to put your screen time, to lessen your screen time. But also, when you watch something, choose wisely. Watch something that educates you about yourself and the state of our society. So I watched this documentary on human trafficking. And it happens all over the world, and especially in the US. A lot of young people are being kidnapped and put into slavery, sex slave, to become sex slaves. Okay? And so a trafficker, he was interviewed. And this was what he shared. He would go to a crowded place, like a bus station, a train station, an airport. And he would, scan the area, identify, let's say, a young girl. Usually, unfortunately, young girls are targets. He would see a young girl standing alone. That's the first criterion for your vulnerability. He walked up to that girl and he said, "Your eyes look beautiful." And if she looks right back at him, straight in his eyes, and she says, "Thank you," he walks away. He said, "I have no chance with her." Now he'll stand, he'll look around again. He sees another girl. She's alone. He walks up to her and he says the same thing. "Your eyes look beautiful." And she looks down and she's like, "No, they don't." He said, "I got her." That gave me chills. Even now, when I recount the story, it gives me chills. Just because of the way you stand, just because of the way you look, the way you respond to a simple comment, it can determine whether you are free or you're kidnapped and enslaved. Are you aware of that? I see nowadays many teenagers like this. Your shoulders are hunched over, like a barrel like this. The body is not upright and relaxed anymore. The neck is like this. Your shoulders hunch. Look at this body. Can you tell the difference versus this guy? This is a result of sitting too much and too long in front of the computer. Okay? This is a result of not being able to be a soulmate to ourselves. Looking at our own body. Looking at ourselves and saying, I'm here for you. I love you. Help me to take better care of you. If we are able to practice that in our daily life, we will like ourselves a whole lot more, whether there are thumbs up or not. Yeah, in your social media, whether you get thumbs up, whether you get positive comments or not, who cares? But you care so much. You care so much, and there are young people who commit suicide because they care so much, too much, of what people say, of what their peers say, and they feel so bad about themselves. They feel worthless. So learn to be your own soulmate. Learn to be a refuge to yourself. Okay? Just look at your breath, look at your body and say, yes, thank you. I'm here. I love you. I never said I love you to myself for 30-something years. Once I became a nun and I discovered the word soulmate in Vietnamese and what it meant. Since then, I've learned to say I love you to myself many times a day. Even before this Dharma talk, I took a shower. That's how I self-regulate. I love taking a shower. Of course, I want to save water, so I use a bucket and collect the water so I don't waste too much. Just one bucket, one shower. That's good. Then I lay in my bed and I just scan through my body and just thank you. I love you. I love you. Don't be nervous. They are my teenagers. I love my teenagers. I don't have to be nervous in front of the teenagers. I'm just my good old self, Sister D. That's how I self-regulate. It's very kind, gentle, and loving. And you can do the same. You see, before an exam, anything. If you can do that for yourself, with yourself, day after day. When somebody says to you, you're beautiful, you say, thank you, I know. You know, that person cannot get hold of you. That person cannot enslave you. And you will not have to say, please enslave me. I'm worth nothing. You are my boyfriend, you are my girlfriend, you make me worth something. Even though you are not kind to me, even though you are not faithful to me, even though you put me down, still, with you I'm something, somebody. Without you I'm nothing. You will not do that to yourself, my dear. And so that brings to the fourth practice. It's insight. Insight brings us peace and happiness. Insight helps us to be aware of all the conditions of happiness that we have. I often tell the teenagers, the young adults, you are most handsome right now, most gorgeous looking right now. You are youngest, healthiest where you are. As you grow older, you just get older. Right? And the adults, even in their 50s or 60s or 70s, even if they are millionaires, even if they are deans of school or, some president, some executive, guess what? If you ask them, what would you want the most? Most likely they'll say, I wish I could be healthy again. I wish I could be young again, right? How many adults feel that way? Yeah, look, teenagers, turn around and look at the adults. Be honest, raise your hands. You want to be young, to be healthy, yeah? In body and mind, yeah? You want your parents, maybe, to be near you, right? You want those good friends that you had neglected or lost the relationship with. You want to heal and mend, right? But teenagers, all those things you have right now, your youth, your beauty, your health, your families, your connections, your intelligence, everything you have. Why would you want to grow up really fast? Why would you want to prove anything that is not you? You just love what you are, who you are, what you have. And that gives you so much happiness. It gives you so much strength to take care of what you have. Because that's what a soulmate does, right? To know, to remember what you have. And to take good care of it, to master it. Yeah? So let's take a quick test, quiz for the teens. What's the definition for a soulmate? Raise your hand and you can shout it out. What's a soulmate? Come on, Kang. Make me proud. Okay, Jazz. Tell me. What? What is a soulmate? Mind and heart. For oneself? From itself. Okay, that's the breath. The breath is the mind, the heart is from the mind, from the heart. Or the mind and the heart itself, right? That's the breath. So when you get to know the breath, you are being a soulmate to it. You see? Because you get to know yourself. But what's the definition of a soulmate? Okay. Understanding oneself. What else? Mastering oneself. That's right. Sukha loves the teaching on being a soulmate. I think I have drilled into him since he was 10. He got it down. Okay, Sukha. Good. Okay, what is one way to generate peace and happiness? The 4 ways. What's one way?
Putting a distance between yourself
And
negative things.
to put a distance between yourself and and something that causes you suffering, right? Suffering, addiction, dependency, right? Putting a distance to it. Yep. Get out of the house. Go for a walk, ride a bike, play sport, right? putting a distance to your electronic gadgets. What's the second way? To generate peace and calmness. Mindfulness. And what does mindfulness mean to you in simple terms? To take care of yourself, to be aware of what's going on. Yeah? And the Chinese character for mindfulness, what does it say? What does the Chinese character say for mindfulness? You cannot see it? Okay. It's the now mind. Mindfulness is a now mind. Okay? The mind that is in the here and the now. Literally, that's what it means. Okay? So what is the third way to generate peace and happiness? Nico? Concentration. Versus, what's the opposite of concentration? A cluttered mind. Good. Cluttered. Dispersed in all directions. Too many things going on, right? Concentration. One thing at a time. Good. What is the fourth way of generating peace and happiness? Insight. Give me one insight that you have from today's sharing. One insight that you've gained from being here. Knowing your worth. Wow. No trafficker will get her. For sure. Knowing your worth. Exactly. That makes it all worthwhile for me, my dear ones. Thank you so much. I love you, teens. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you choose to be safe. Okay? May you choose to be happy. And you know the way to practice it. Okay? God bless you. Let us enjoy 3 sounds of the bell together. Coming back to our stable posture, taking refuge in our own breathing, taking refuge in our own body. I'm here for you. I love you so.
Any announcement? No announcement? Okay, so soon we'll have lunch together. Teams, we can eat on the red deck together. Okay.